Hey everybody, Ashley here. So, articles that I found interesting were the ones about marriage, and them trying to find out what has to be done to make anything a perfect marriage. So first, I wanted to get into what a marriage is. Marriage is something that has been around for years, and lately there's been more divorce than marriage, and I want to know what could be done to make marriages be long successful as they were, back in the day as opposed to now. So, for the first study, the purpose of it was to find out if couples who overcome stress early in a relationship will have a successful marriage. And I took this as, how sometimes relationships, when they first become fresh or when marriages are fresh, they go through the honeymoon phase. And then after the honeymoon phase, when they start seeing them in everyday life, and so say if someone passes away, someone loses a job, they don't know how to handle that because they've never went through anything bad with that person. And in the study, some of the questions that were asked were if the couples are equipped with the right resources to overcome these problems, what kind of stress will test the marriage, and what do these couples have to do to overcome it. And they also want to know if being a parent made a difference. So according to the research, the couples were recruited with two methods. They advertised to get people to come and participate in the research. And then there was also a phone interview to make sure the couples weren't married before and that they've only been married for no more than 6 months. And I feel like they chose to do it this way because if they were married before, then they have more insight on what they did in their previous marriage and were able to bring it in when they wanted fresh new people. So and then so the results so it resulted in that, it did prove that if you did go through hardships in the beginning of a relationship, it did help bring the couples closer together and made them more comfortable. If something did come up, they would know how to get over it because they went through it before and they know what they have to do now and like what mindset they have and what type of problem solving they have to do to stay together. And they would be less vulnerable to future stress spillover effects than would be spouses who've never had to go through any hardships because they would be kind of like caught off guard and they would see something that they've never seen before. So for the second article that I chose, their research that they chose to look into was what is investing into a marriage. And investing into a marriage is when both partners are totally committed to the relationship and are willing to invest time and energy. They communicate effectively with each other and know how to solve their differences. The purpose of this article is to understand where the satisfaction comes from in relationships and how a person's attitude, commitment, and investment to the relationship can make it strive. So for this one, the research also used a questionnaire to get the information. They used one basic set of measures, which was administered to all the couples in both semesters, and included the background inventory, the love scale, and the relationship assessment scale and self-esteem measured. With this data collected, the common set of measures from both semesters discussed the total sample in the results section, and the sample included 57 couples. So, with the information that they were able to get, they were able to determine that the couples were genuine and matched up to be perfect couples, and which ended up leading the researchers to believe that even as such constructs of love, commitment, relationship satisfaction influence relationship outcome, they also influence each other. For instance, like relationship outcome and each relationship influences process of love, commitment, satisfaction, next relationship. And which basically means that what you put into the relationship is what you get out, which is what they found in their study. So it doesn't matter, if you're with one person you can only do so much, but it depends on how much you love someone in any relationship, and that shows how much work you put in will make it to be a successful relationship. So, what I got from both studies, which I found important, is that some people, or excuse me, or why it's so important is because some people are not shown how to hold on to any types of relationships nowadays. I feel like more children are being raised in single parent households, so they don't know what it's like to be in a household where parents are still together, or what it's like to find someone to settle down with. And I feel like future research that can help improve this area is to find out how marriages are affected on their kids and the rest of the family, and if they play a factor into helping making marriages survive. And I'm curious to know if each person in the family would play a part. So excuse me. So for my so what analysis from the article one from the first study, um, I feel like it gives insight for people who want to have a long, strong, successful marriage. And some of the strengths in this article are the types of questions that were asked in the beginning and during the research. However, some of the weaknesses were the participants. I think the researchers could have benefited by asking people who were in longer marriages to find out if having stress in early stages of their marriage had any type of impact. Because because they only asked people who are only married for 6 months, and I feel like 6 months is a kind of small time because that's how long basic relationships last. They could just be dating for 6 months. You know what I mean? Um, and then for the second study, um, I feel like they could have focused on individual marriages, just like the first study, as opposed to just doing a questionnaire to everybody in college and that I mean, excuse me, in the university from different semesters. Because I feel like if they focused on solely on different marriages, we there would be a more definite and explainable response. And these are the two articles that I used that I got from the database. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed.